Crackers' agenda. Most white propaganda is there to make the whites look good, specifically the rich whites. This racist ass sentiment is exactly that, and today I'm gonna do my best to break it down. When white people came to Africa, they had to come up with a lot of bullshit in order to make slavery of this scale.
One, two, three, in the place to be. This is DFG, the man with the golden voice, the lady's choice, and of course, I'm smooth as a Rolls Royce. I'm coming to you live from the 571, where I'm having fun and I'm getting things done. So here's what I like to do. It as y'all know, as y'all know, it's not a lot of it's not a lot of heat out there this week, especially on the East Coast. Chocolate Pearl down there in Florida saw snow. You know it was bad when she grew up in New York and she like mad about the snow. I know Apple was at the hospital with her youngest daughter, her only daughter having a so she's another nana, gamma, whatever y'all call yourselves these days. But before I go on and finish my monologue, I'm gonna bring on my one of my other co-hosts, the Chocolate Pearl, my favorite girl. Let's go, Chocolate Pearl. Can
I think
anybody hear
she's
me?
mute. I think she's on mute.
Oh, she's on mute.
Oh, I didn't know I was on mute. Sorry. I was I was having a whole conversation too. I'm
Smarter
saying,
than the
hey,
equipment.
hey, y'all. Yeah, hey, y'all. It's cold here in Duval. Yeah, it's kind of cold. Yeah. But one time it was in the 20s and then the 30s and 40s and right back down to the 30s. I think now it's in the 30s again. Yeah, 36 right now, 36 in Florida, in Duval County. It in Destin, Florida, it snowed.
In
So they,
Destin, oh, I'd
yeah,
hate to be there.
Destin, was it Tampa as well, babe?
It might have. It might
Pensacola,
have.
Pensacola, but yeah, it snowed. It didn't snow in Jacksonville. Last time it did snow in Jacksonville was 1986. Um, but it has not snowed since. But it's kind of crispy out there. My car was actually iced over uh, at one
Whoa.
point. Yeah, it was iced over, and my car is not used to it. So my sensors all over the car kept going off while I was driving, saying that people was around me, and there was nobody around me.
Yeah,
So
your car
yeah,
wasn't used to that.
car's not used. My car was born in Florida. It wasn't used to
Mm,
that weather. But yeah,
that's
and I was supposed to go to New York last Friday. I was supposed to go to New York on Friday. Made it to the airport, about to board, and I got a message from Delta, and something just said before I walked onto that plane. Something said, "Check that message," and I checked the message, and it says, "I'm sorry, your flight has been canceled," and that was my flight coming back to Florida. So I was like, "What's no sense in me getting on this one to go to New York if I can't get
yeah.
back?"
It don't know when you coming back.
Yeah,
Don't know when
so
you coming back.
I had
But
to cancel.
that's it. That's interesting. I know. Was it cussing cold? Like you know how it was back in New York, and you walk outside and it's so cold you just start cussing.
No, well, for Dabs, yeah, but not for me. It was cold, but it wasn't cussing cold for me. I still am a little used to that type of cold, but it was cold. But I know Dabs was cussing because he gets up, he gets on the road about 6 in the morning. If he goes exercising, but he ain't gone exercise because it's been really cold lately. Because they exercise outside. And he said,
Hey, ain't
nope, he
nothing
ain't
wrong
going
with
out
that.
there. He ain't going out there in that cold because he done been fighting colds from these snot-nosed children at the schools. He said he ain't getting sick again. Yeah, but yeah,
But
that's what's on going on over this week.
all right, Big Al, what's going on, Big Al, in the AGS down there in the CSRA? How's
Yeah,
the cold? How's the cold affected y'all?
not at all. That's why I'm down here. Y'all can keep all that snow up in New York and Pensacola. But to be honest, I grew up in Louisiana, and the very first time I saw snow was when I was 19 years old. And we didn't even get enough to cover the ground, and they shut down the city for a week. So I'm
Kind of
not.
like Atlanta.
Yep, there you go. So I'm nice and warm here. The lowest we've gotten was 24, and that's good for me.
Where
I'm
you
not.
at?
I'm in Georgia and Evans, Georgia.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
it's
Savannah didn't get any either, even though South Carolina did. I think Columbia did, but Savannah didn't get it. So
right. Atlanta is at a higher elevation, so a lot of
yeah,
times they'll get snow up there, but there's always a 10-degree differential, hot, cold here in Evans or Augusta than it is Atlanta. But I'm nice and warm. Got on my short sleeve shirt, some shorts on, and I'm nice and comfortable.
That's what's up, Big Al. That's what's up. Oh, I can tell
Dad's
you. I can
dressed
tell
like
you.
he's a Florida Eskimo. He had one day
I had two shirts and two
he had,
jackets.
he had two shirts, two jackets, and he
And
had two hats on one time, three pair of gloves.
Mm. That's crazy. That is so crazy. But I know like Miss Kim from the South and some she been all around. Where some where how you doing tonight?
Hey guys, how's it going?
What's going on? What share one of your cold stories when you've been cold?
Oh my goodness. One story was my brother and I, we were young. We were when my dad was stationed on Governor's Island, and uh we went out sledding, and we went from one side where we were like where we lived at was like on a corner of the island, and we went in the middle of the island. We went sledding, and by the time we got back home, we had frostbite. And we were just freezing, and it was crazy. We had to run our hands under like some really cool water, try to raise the temperature up. I mean, it was awful, but that was, you know, I've never experienced anything like that to this day.
Hey, that's kind of crazy. Before I go on, I want to show y'all a video. I saw this on TikTok earlier. Hold on, here we go. It's a short one.
It's so cold. My body not made for cold. My body made for Margaritaville.
That's
Said
what I'm talking
now,
about.
but it was just to break up something. Miss Kim, I know you've been cold before. Give us a cold story.
When you moved me to Virginia,
Yeah, okay.
because I ain't never been so cold before until I came to Virginia.
Oh, yeah, trust me, it was as we say in the city, it was brick. Like somebody hit you in the face with a brick. That's how cold it is.
I do not like
But
being cold.
but that's, along those things of being cold. Um, what what do you do to keep warm if you in the house? Because in the project we had heat all the time. It's when we went to our cousins who didn't live in the projects. Is when we first didn't know radiators didn't have heat. But what did y'all do to keep warm when you was little? And what do you do now? I'll start with me. When we were little, it was like I said, we had heat. We didn't have the heat, so we just slept whatever we had on. When I got older and I was in my own place and that heat ain't work, I had on two pair of socks. I'd have on long johns because trust me, when you in Afghanistan and it's cold, 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 you gotta learn how to sleep because if not, you're just gonna be miserable. What I do now is I just put on layers because I don't like to be bulky, but I don't like to be cold either. We at that age in our most of us are in our 50s and 60s. It ain't like when we was in our 20s, go outside butt naked and be like, yeah, great day. So, Chocolate Pearl, what did you do to keep warm during those times?
Well, we did the same. You and I was raised the same way, but now that I'm older, uh, for some reason I won't, because I'm in the South, I won't turn my heat on
You're a
because
better
I feel
person than
it's
I
wrong.
am.
Huh? He's talking about freezing the brother out. I just won't turn my heat on in the wintertime in the South. Even when I lived in South Carolina, I would not turn the heat on in the South. I just told him to layer up. Right now, since I got the pause, uh, my personal summers in the wintertime, I pulled my duvet out. I pulled my duvet out,
All
and
right
my
now.
duvet and a comforter, the comforter of excuse me, top sheet comforter and a duvet. And that thing is so warm, we be kicking it off sometimes.
Oh, I trust me, I understand. I understand.
That was the best
Bi-
investment I ever made. But I still, you can see, I'm covered up. I got a vest on, and I got my little trusty little wrap. Cause you called me talking about I look like an old lady with the wrap on. Uh,
You do.
and and
That's
that's
not.
and that's keeping me warm until I start to flash and then I take it off.
That's what's up.
But
That's definitely.
damn, he can tell you how he feel. Go off mute and tell him how you feel about the how do you warm up when you was
Younger.
younger?
Oh, okay. So, I guess I back home it was I didn't when I was younger it was all right. My mom used to call me Iron Ass Pete. I used to ask who's Iron Ass Pete because I would go outside with no jacket on. It'd be snowing and cold. It didn't matter. But nowadays, brother, it'd be hurting a little bit. But I could tell you one of the worst storms I've been in was back in I think it was 1989 back in Washington. I mean, it almost destroyed half the city. Because the problem was, we get the rain, so it was cold, it snowed, it froze the night. Then it rained a little bit the next day, and then it froze again the next night and snowed on top of that. It crushed buildings, cars, carports. I mean, we lost that year a lot. Washington lost a lot of stuff. I mean, it was almost like a tornado came through and tore stuff up. It was
Mm.
snow. It wasn't even a heavy snowstorm. It was just the freeze and the rain and the freeze again. And it just crushed a lot of stuff. It was terrible winter.
You ever been up to the pass in the wintertime?
Oh yeah, that's crazy. Got to
If
stop,
y'all
put
don't
them
know what
chains
pass I'm
on.
talking
Can't.
about, it's a pass Interstate 90 coming out of Seattle and going east. It's called the
Yep.
Snoqualmie
Snoqualmie
Pass,
pad. Yep.
and it could be 60 degrees in Seattle, 60 degrees on the other side, and it'd be
Yep.
20 degrees up there, and it would be
Yep.
snowing in the summer.
And yep. So enough.
But yeah, that's just a little bit of geography and topography for all y'all, and weather, how weather can be in different places at different times. But um there hasn't been, besides what the president's been doing, and we don't want to go there, and I don't really want to talk about Minnesota because there's so many things we can talk about, and I want the show to be a little bit up today because it's cold as hell outside. But anyway, uh it's in the news, the news has been relatively quiet. Down there in Duval, is any crazy Florida people stuff doing?
I don't know because I keep looking at what the um, orange person keep doing so and all the stuff that's surrounding that situation. So I haven't even looked at local news in a long time. How about you?
Well, a little bit here. Our governor's in hot water with some political stuff, and then I got a friend who's getting ready to run for the Senate. So that's kind of a little exciting.
Angie!
That's going on here. So, but other than that, not too crazy. It's just I was doing some Ubering the other day, and I did hear some guy talk about he's been seeing a lot of ICE people down here now too. So they coming around.
They making a so don't you stomp your little shoes at me, Missy, when you last see the
Right.
brother. But
Right.
anyway, I don't know why I did that. I must be high or something. But that's it's funny. It's funny because we laugh at stuff like that. But um, when you're, and dang, I don't want to talk about the frozen water people. But dealing with cold to me is easier than dealing with hot. And the reason I say that is when it's cold, you can keep putting stuff on, keep putting stuff off. When it gets hot, and I ain't talking about regular hot. I'm talking about South Carolina, east coast of Georgia, humidity 200%, temperatures 98 degrees, ain't no breeze out there. That kind of hot. You can strip up butt
That
naked
sticky,
and
nasty
still.
hot.
No, bro. It's that California 122 degrees hot. Because it's
I've been there
blazing
too.
hot.
Been there too. But so would you rather be Miss Kim? Would you rather be hot or be cold?
Say that again.
Would you rather be hot or rather be cold? Which one you rather deal with?
Are we talking about the weather? Because I'm confused. Because you
Yeah, the
started
weather.
talking ice.
Yeah,
Where
no,
we
no.
at?
I said I didn't want to go there. I
Okay.
started. That's what I said. I said I deal with cold better than I can deal with hot. What
No, I
about you?
can't. Well, I can't deal with cold because of my chronic illness. So warm weather is for me.
Okay, Miss Sum Sum.
Hey, I'm here. Sorry, I was just typing as I was putting something in the chat. Um, oh God, I don't know. I'd rather just be in the middle because I'm tired.
That's not what I asked.
I know, but
That
I
ain't what I
hate being
asked.
I'm going through what Chocolate Pearl is going through. I get extremely cold and then I turn around and get hot flashes. And it seems like the middle ground is very limited. And I hate both because I go to the extreme with both. So I have to kind of dress in layers. But if I could prefer to live in a certain type of climate, I would prefer to live in a tropical climate. I love the beach. I if I get too hot, I can go in the water. I just prefer it that way to cool off that way instead of being in the mountains with all the snow and all of that stuff. And then one thing also too, when we would talk about in the past and growing up when it was snowing and stuff, I remember my mom used to shellac us with Vaseline. Face would be all shiny and just with the snow suits and all of that stuff. So that was one thing that I always I always remember. Sorry, Ma.
Big Al, what about you?
Oh
You've
man.
been in both types.
Oh, I've been in both, and I'm a hot weather guy. I love hot weather. My system can acclimate much better to the heat, whether it's a dry heat or a humid heat. Cold weather just does not bode well with me. As I've gotten older, arthritis has set in and I get cold. And the coldest I've ever been was in not Fort Hood, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. As you know, in the military back in the early 70s, 80s, when you went to the field in Jeeps during the summer, they make you put all that canvas and stuff on. Your windshields had to be up. And in the winter, you took all the canvas off and the windshields down. And I had to lead a convoy out. I was in an artillery battalion. And we sat in the motor pool for about 3 hours in that cold with no canvas, no nothing. And as I started leading the convoy out, it was so cold. If we had driven one more minute, I was going to take off my second lieutenant bars and say, the hell with this, I quit, and turn that convoy around. And luckily, the battalion commander came on and said, turn it around, it's too cold. But I had 9 soldiers who got frostbite. And
Ooh.
oh yeah, in that 3 hour period, just sitting out in the cold, not moving. And the only thing that saved me, because I wasn't accustomed to cold weather, I had a platoon sergeant who told me about layering my clothes. So what I did is had multiple layers of clothes, and then those special Arctic boots we had as part of our duffel bag. I put those on, and that's the only thing that saved me. But man, I cannot stand cold weather.
So, how many times you been to Germany? 'Cause I know that.
Only once? No, I've been there twice. Once was TDY, and the second time was a Reforger. But
Oh, okay.
I kept trying to get to Germany, but they kept sending me to Korea. So I've done 4 tours in Korea and none in Germany.
That's yeah, because trust me, Germany was cold, cold. That was like, and most, like I said, most of my places I was stationed were cold. Like I stayed, I was either at Fort Bliss or Fort Drum. Did Fort Campbell a couple of times, but yeah, Fort Drum cold is like you get used to the cold there. You ain't got nothing to do but get used to it. But like I said, I prefer to deal with the cold because like I said, I could put more stuff on. It don't you don't like taking stuff off. Um and speaking, now's the time, we're dealing with all this weather. Um what do y'all think about housing in this type of environment with this economy and this amount of cold right now, especially on the East Coast? I know y'all got a little better there, but with the number of unhoused people, what do you think people are going to try to do to understand what's going on and get more people off the street? Because y'all seen them, y'all passed them. Um, but yeah,
We seen
it's just
Dabs and I, was it last week? When it was really, really cold out there, we happened to go to one of the Dollar Trees that we don't normally go to. And when we were going in, we actually seen it looked like maybe a mother and a daughter, adults, but it looked like they just got evicted or something because they had like at least 10 blankets on them and they was literally laying on the ground as cold as it was out there. They were laying on the ground and I felt sorry. But one lady actually came in the store complaining that those people were out there laying on the ground. They wasn't begging or asking anything. She just said, that's just so what did she say? Something about if that's just so sad and if my kids don't need to be seeing stuff like that. And I was like, what?
What?
This is life,
but
this
no, but
happens.
people. But the thing is, though, people do that these days because, if you haven't noticed over the last 40, 50 years, we've gone away from, neighbors and helping. And, as many people say that this is a Christian nation, we don't act like it.
No, we don't. We don't.
We don't act like it. And that's, um, Big Al, how's the unhoused problem in the Augusta area in the CSRA?
It's pretty bad, but we've got several organizations, the Urban League, and all the members of the Divine Nine. We have outreach programs where we're going out looking for people who are uh, without homes and referring them to warming shelters and taking proactive measures to get them in a place where they are not in the elements. And just because Augusta is really run by the medical influence here and the military, there are not a lot of homeless people at this point because there are a lot of military, and those who are not military are retired military. So we don't have a real big problem here.
Okay, okay. But in the DMV area, the National Capital Region, they have a big homeless problem. As a matter of fact, they have a coalition. They have a coalition, and they have a lot of emergency churches open their doors in the during this time of year to give people some respite from the elements. And although I mean, that's nice and great, but you don't hear that too much anymore from the churches that are actually doing stuff. And I think it's society's fault because society's like, hey, bad news sell. If I tell everybody's good, nobody's going to watch me. So I got to find the worst stuff. So I guess that's why we don't hear when churches actually do that. But there are churches out there that do that, that open their doors at night to keep to help with those who need sheltering. I wish the country was in a better place where we could be more open to each other and more accepting of each other. But I've said over the last 40, 50 years, we've been separating ourselves. And I'm not saying like, by race. I'm saying by how we think. Right now, it is no such thing as a middle person. You either a conservative or a liberal. And realistically, that's a impossibility. You can't be all of one or all of you. You got some things that you don't agree with the majority of people, and that's okay. That's what makes us us. But a lot of times we look at things and we want to understand how things work, how things how things bring themselves to be, and what do we do with it. A lot of us is a lot of us look at people making less or having less and we look down on them. We shouldn't do that because like the saying goes, by the grace of God go I. So it's I guess I'm just saying we need, now's the time when if you claim that you have a deity, now's the time to actually exercise what you know and what they know. And that's my religious minute for the call. Um, Miss Kim, I know you have a big heart. You have a big heart and you have a lot of empathy. At your job, um, is the city of Manassas doing anything to help the less fortunate up there?
Yeah, they do. Um, we do see a lot of people that's homeless, especially on my end when I'm doing outreach, calling different clients, and I find out they are homeless, or either I'm reading a case and they're homeless. And I'm gonna let some speak on it because she's been there about what, 13 years. So I know she's seen more than what I have.
Go ahead, Miss Sum Sum.
Hey, okay. So two things I just want to point out really quickly. So DFG is correct. There are churches, if you go to your local social services, there are what we have, they normally have like what is called a community resource list. And basically it's compiled of different churches and organizations that help with rent, utilities, you name it, food, different things. They also have the churches that are listed on there do have warming stations that open up in the evening for you to go in and get warm and things like that to get off of the street. And then there, so basically for us, we do have a community resource list. We always, um, I pretty much determine eligibility, but if someone is in need of maybe say transitional housing or um, a legal aid, all of that information is on our community resource list. So we always provide that to our clients. Just, we have people that have actually went out to the community and just knocked on doors and said, "Hey, this is where we are. What can you help the community with?" And so, right over top of their agency, it'll have a list of what they help with and things of that nature. So that's pretty much what we have.
Okay, that's deep. That's deep. And in with when y'all do stuff like that, does it take a toll on you emotionally? Because that's gotta be draining.
Um, for me, I love what I do. I love what I do. I love what I do. I love what
Keep
I
saying it. Keep saying it. Keep saying it. We love what we do. Keep
No,
saying
but
it.
in all honesty, I do love my job. The hardest thing about my job is when you know a person is in need, but the policy states that they do not qualify for benefit. So
Right.
that is letting them know, at this time, based off of your income, you do not qualify for, and that's kind of breaking the news down to them like that. But and then through the social workers working side by side with the social workers, you see and hear a lot of horror cases. So you can get severe burnout. You can it is mentally draining. You do get cursed out for the government shutdowns and the policy changes and everything like that. You're the face of the agency. You have to explain everything to them, but at the same time, you don't make the rules. You're just, you know, in I don't want to say enforcing, but you are just kind of explaining based off of this is what you qualify for. But we get yelled at, we get cursed at. I just let Kim listen to a gentleman curse out one of my coworkers, because his social security got increased, so his benefits decreased, and he
Decrease.
was not
Exactly.
happy.
That what that got to do with y'all? Y'all ain't the ones that did that.
But we're like on the forefront, so we get targeted.
Opportunity. I see what you mean. But I don't know how y'all better than I am because I don't know how I would react. So my mother she worked at in New York doing that, doing eligibility for welfare and stuff like that. That was a hard job for her to do. And but yeah, that's you guys are doing the Lord's work. And you know, even though there's some bad things, your job, I'm sure there are people who appreciate what you do. Um, but ladies and gents, I'm gonna close this one off because my allergies are kicking in and this whew, I'm having a hard time concentrating right now. Got a serious, not a headache, but something like that. So I want to thank everybody for coming on tonight. I know this is short, but I rather cut it when instead of becoming viral for the wrong thing. I want to thank my co-hostess, Chocolate Pearl, my favorite girl, and DJ Dabs down there in Duval. I want to thank Big Al calling from the 706 area code. I want to, and I want to thank Some and Kim. Always got my back. Always there. Everybody out there in Facebook land, YouTube land, Miss Nikki on Yahoo. I mean on YouTube, always holding me down. And everybody knows that you never make love by the garden gate. Though love is blind, the neighbors ain't. Thank y'all for playing our game.